Upon returning home, my daughter was in tears after attending a Christmas gathering at her grandparents' place. Visibly upset, she handed me a wrapped gift in silence. "Mom, why must I endure this?" Opening the package, I found myself at a loss for words. Realizing its inappropriateness for a child, alarmed, I promptly reported the incident to the police, exposing and causing upheaval due to the gift giver's actions. The incident sparked significant family drama, leading to severe consequences for the responsible party. I'm Serena, 45 years old with a younger husband working in the same company. I ventured into a new career at 34 after a derogatory comment from a previous employer. My current workplace values ability over age or gender, and my husband, as well as my supervisor, offered great support. We quickly married and now have a 4th grade daughter, Kara, a gentle soul who loves reading and displaying kindness. Despite my good relationship with my in-laws, my relationship with my husband's sister is strained. She disapproves of me being older than my husband, mocking our quick marriage. Her derogatory comments about my age and physical changes from my pregnancy were hurtful. Despite her disapproval, I tried to remain unaffected for my peace of mind. Her attitude changed only when she had a quick wedding and moved away, reducing our interactions and sparing me from her taunts. This shift allowed me to focus on welcoming our daughter into the world. Despite the challenges of childbirth, the birth of our daughter marked a joyful milestone in our lives, free from the negativity that once clouded our happiness. Gaining the strength from my husband's unwavering support and encouraging words was pivotal during the birth of our daughter. When she first cried in the delivery room, his gratitude and recognition of my efforts moved us both to tears of joy. However, 5 months after our daughter's arrival, my sister-in-law gave birth to a boy and resumed her visits at our home, each trip taking an hour. Her purpose seemed to be drawing unfavorable comparisons between our children and making disparaging remarks about my age. This affected my daughter negatively, with her visible wrinkles compared to the smooth skin of her child. Amidst adjusting to the demands of parenthood, I found myself astounded by her audacity. She would arrive empty-handed, not bringing any baby essentials, and leave with diapers, formula, claiming that she wanted to avoid running out. This behavior puzzled me greatly. It was as if her primary motive for visiting me was to belittle me and then taking supplies as though it was her right. Her visits eventually ceased, thanks to her husband's job requiring them to move to a different state. This brought a brief period of tranquility until our daughter began elementary school and discovered her cousin was also enrolled. Despite our strained family relationship, our daughter and her cousin developed a warm friendship. She, being older, kind and sincere, looked after him. He became quite popular among his peers. By the 4th grade, they were in the same class, and my daughter received recognition for a summer project reading reflection published in the local newspaper. This achievement became a topic of conversation among family and relatives, especially during the visits to my in-laws. On this occasion, many relatives gathered, possibly because of my daughter's accolade. However, my sister-in-law seemed unsettled by our family receiving attention. She complained it was unfair, claiming the celebrated book was meant for her son, despite the truth that the children had exchanged books by mutual agreement. After reading both options, they decided together on which book report to write, showing a collaborative spirit that my nephew appreciated. This incident highlighted the children's ability to share and support each other, contrasting sharply with the adult conflicts and misunderstandings. My nephew had a preference for the book my daughter read first, and graciously she allowed him to choose it when he shared her story. My sister-in-law wrongfully accused me of composing the award-winning reflection for my daughter, likely recalling that I enjoyed writing novels during my college days, a fact she likely learned from my husband unbeknown to me. She was also meticulously spreading rumors at the school, insinuating that I used personal connections with the competition judges to unfairly advantage my daughter's submission. The spread of these baseless accusations deeply saddened my daughter, to the extent that she lost interest in her once-beloved pastime of reading. This was the final straw for me. I couldn't bear to see her so disheartened, not only because of the false allegations directed at me, but also witnessing her becoming a victim of cruel gossip before taking any action. I confided in my husband, detailing for the first time the extent of his sister's unkindness towards me since our marriage. This included her taking clothes intended for our daughter, rationalizing that infants couldn't discern gender-specific attire, and making derogatory remarks about my appearance during pregnancy, comparing me to a sumo wrestler, outraged by his sister's behavior. My husband agreed it was time to involve his parents, insisting on personally conveying the situation together with his parents. He confronted my sister-in-law at home. Her initial delight at seeing her family unexpectedly dissolved into shock as she faced a stern reprimand from my husband. Her reaction to being called out was to direct her anger towards me. She accused me of betraying her to her favorite brother and casting herself as the victim in an attempt to deflect responsibility. Initially, I answered her phone calls, mistaking them for attempts to reconcile, only to realize she was merely venting her frustrations. Eventually, I set her number to go directly to voicemail, effectively ignoring her attempts to contact me. The calls ceased after a few weeks, which I initially attributed to her losing interest. The period of silence provided a welcome respite from our ongoing drama. However, the tranquility was short-lived as my daughter's interest in reading remained diminished. Despite the challenges, my husband and I focused on rebuilding our daughter's confidence and love for literature. Slowly but surely, she began to rediscover the joy of reading. As the years passed, our family faced ups and downs, but the bond between my daughter and her cousin continued to strengthen, unaffected by the adult conflicts that had mirrored our past. My husband's unwavering support and our commitment to fostering a positive environment played a crucial role in overcoming the challenges thrown our way. Now looking back, I realize that the key to triumphing over adversity lies in resilience, love, and unwavering support from those who truly care. The scars of the past have faded, replaced by the strength that comes from facing challenges head-on and emerging stronger on the other side. As we continue our journey, I remain hopeful that the lessons learned from these experiences will guide us towards a future filled with positivity and understanding. However, I later learned that wasn't the reason. In December, a children's Christmas party was organized at my in-laws. It was a first for them, which piqued my curiosity about the timing. Nevertheless, my daughter was thrilled to be invited, reminiscing about the joyous Christmas celebrations she experienced in kindergarten, and hoping for a similar event at her elementary school, which unfortunately didn't organize such festivities due to their policy on religious events. I often ponder the need for strict adherence to religious traditions, especially when Christmas itself has blossomed into a universally cherished holiday, distinct in its celebration across the globe. This thought crossed my mind especially since I've noticed some parents are quite particular about maintaining their religious connotations. The last 2 years, I decided to embrace the festival spirit in our way. My daughter and I chose to celebrate Christmas cozily at home. She particularly enjoyed the gift exchange. A highlight of our celebration this year, an invitation from my in-laws suggesting a modest budget of $11 for a gift exchange at their Christmas party. My daughter and I embarked on a little adventure into a vast shopping mall nearby, searching for the perfect present. She eventually settled on one of her cherished picture books, eager to share its story and the joy it brought her with someone else during the party. On the day of the event, with the present in hand, she set off to my in-laws' place, which is just a short bus ride away from our home. After letting my mother-in-law know of her impending arrival, she kindly offered to pick her up from the bus stop. A call from her later assured me of my daughter's safe arrival, allowing me to momentarily put my worries to rest. However, peace was short-lived. Merely 50 minutes later, the unexpected sound of the front door opening on a weekday caught me off guard. My husband was at work, and I was home working remotely during my daughter's winter break. The sight that greeted me was heart-wrenching. My daughter sitting by the entrance in tears. She handed me a gift-wrapped bag. Her expression suggested that the context would explain everything inside. I found a newspaper with her reading reflections torn to pieces, accompanied by a menacing card, written in red ink, warning us about becoming too arrogant, or else risking ending up like the mutated stuffed animal inside the bag, which was disfigured and stained with red ink to mimic blood. The disturbing display was far from a harmless prank. My daughter revealed that this unsettling gift was the work of my sister-in-law, a revelation that stunned me. The party was intended to be a joyous, child-centric event with the agreement among the adults to abstain from preparing gifts personally. Yet, despite not accompanying my daughter to the party, I was taken aback to learn of my sister-in-law's presence and her heinous act towards my daughter. Had my mother-in-law been aware of her daughter's attendance, she surely would have informed me, as she always insists that we notify her of any issues caused by her daughter. This breach of understanding left me dismayed, underscoring a deliberate attempt to harm us. I reminded her to tell her grandmother about what happened. However, before she could, my aunt intervened, stating that she hadn't called for her and that only children linked to missionary schools were welcome. My daughter, puzzled, asked what a missionary school was, leaving me struggling for words. Recently, a relative had been accepted into a missionary school, sparking much discussion within the family. My sister-in-law's son attended a missionary kindergarten and would heard tales of relatives unaware they were connected to such schools until enrollment. Our choice was different. We opted for a local kindergarten and a public elementary school for our daughter. It seemed my sister-in-law used this as another opportunity to belittle her. My daughter was distressed by the threatening gift she received. I rushed to the police station, insisting on the seriousness of the threat despite the initial reluctance from the police to intervene, suggesting it's resolved as a family matter. Thankfully, a female officer recognized the gravity of the situation, acknowledging the threats and violence within families are indeed reportable offenses. She empathized with our fear and took immediate action by promising to visit my sister-in-law with a warning that evening. When my husband came home, I recounted the day's events. He condemned his sister's spiteful actions and contacted his parents who were hosting their Christmas party, yet claimed ignorance of the incident. They speculated that my sister-in-law may have snuck through an unlocked back door when my mother-in-law was preoccupied with other responsibilities. The party was left in the hand of the younger family members following the police officer's stern warning to my sister-in-law about the consequences of her actions. My in-laws, disturbed by the possibility of criminal behavior, arranged a family meeting to discuss the matter. My sister-in-law and her husband arrived late, with her visibly displeased and unrepentant about the police involvement, while her husband appeared to be uninformed about the meeting's purpose. The situation underscored the seriousness of the issue, prompting a collective family discussion on how to move forward and address the underlying tensions. When my sister-in-law's husband was finally made aware of his wife's actions towards our family, he had been completely oblivious to the extent of the situation until then, offering his apologies to us. He seemed genuinely remorseful, a stark contrast to my sister-in-law, who remained defiant and unapologetic. He resonated that the lack of arrest by the police equated to innocence left everyone speechless, showcasing a level of denial that was hard for us to comprehend. In a surpassing turn of events, he announced a decision to divorce her. The revelation stunned us all, and there was no outward sign of trouble in their marriage, explaining his decision. He shared a history of ending her behavior, which had escalated from neglecting household duties and chilled caring to causing a fear due to carelessness. Her obsession with her parents has led to multiple unnecessary moves, each driven by her vanity and their desire to maintain a certain social status rather than actual job requirements. Their moves were often justified by her ambition for their son, like attempting to enroll him in a prestigious kindergarten, which had only ended in disappointment and further embarrassment. Eventually, they settled for a public elementary school, a choice driven by their son's preference, supported by his father, against his wife's initial reluctance. The husband's decision to divorce was not sudden, but accumulation of years of frustration, now expedited by a recent harassment and caught off guard by the divorce announcement. My sister-in-law attempted a feeble apology, seemingly in the last-ditch effort to reverse the situation, claiming her actions were merely jokes or pranks. However, the seriousness of her actions, especially the hostile message intended for a child, went far beyond what could be dismissed as a joke. Such behavior could instill fear, even in adults. It was indefensible, highlighted the irreparable breach of trust within the family. I confronted her, highlighting the gap between her actions and the instinct of a nurturing parent. Just because you're a parent doesn't automatically install you with parental instincts, I pointed out, suggesting that her behavior was far from what one would expect for someone of that role. My husband, witnessing her tears, firmly told her that crying was not a solution to the problem, especially at her age. She should not expect sympathy to absolve her actions. Yet she continued crying, denying any wrongdoing and questioning why she was being singled out for blame. She even suggested the family's disapproval stemmed from my marriage to her brother, implying that the issue was with me being older rather than her actions. The lack of insight into the gravity of her behavior left us all speechless, and my husband was particularly tight and abacked by her inability to grasp the situation with the atmosphere. Heavy with unresolved tension, the discussion came to an abrupt halt, and her husband had no choice but to escort her home. Their divorce proceedings later unfolded, marred by her resistance to acknowledge her faults. It was only her son's innocent revelation about the Christmas party that tipped the scales, leading to her reluctant agreement to the divorce. Her son, without any ill intent, recounted to his classmates the unsettling gift exchange. He witnessed, specifically, the disturbing image of a stuffed animal mangled and stained with red resembling blood. This confession quickly spread among the school community, stirring concern among teachers and parents alike. Following this revelation, my daughter found it difficult to return to school. Her spirit was dampened by the incident and ensuing gossip linking to her cousin's story. The connection between her absence and the events of the Christmas party became a topic of speculation, underscoring the impact of one thoughtless act on the lives of those involved. I had hoped the whole ordeal could have been quietly resolved, allowing my daughter to return to school when she felt ready. Her cousin's intentions of sharing the distressing experience was not for amusement, but for a desperate plea to halt his mother's harmful actions. Witnessing the impact of these revelations, her husband was compelled to expedite the divorce proceedings, accepting her terms just to finalize the separation. By then, she had become widely known in the community for her menaced behavior towards children, leading to her being ostracized and faced with hostility from neighbors, feeling trapped and vilified. She saw the divorce as an escape, imagining a return to her parental home would provide solace. However, her estranged husband remained firm on retaining custody of their son, a decision she accepted without much fight, coldly declaring her indifference towards her son as she planned to remarry. Stating children was an inconvenience to her plans, her cruel words were met with her son's brave rejection. He expressed no need for her in his life, finding solace in his father's care and warning her against approaching his cousin. Her situation worsened upon returning to her parents' home, where she was denied entry, leaving her to face the consequences of her actions alone. Her downward spiral led to her precarious situations for basic need, accumulating debt from unsavory sources, and eventually she vanished from our lives. My husband and his parents chose not to pursue a missing persons report, accepting her absence as a resolution. In the aftermath, my daughter regained the confidence to attend school, where her cousin continues to be a supportive presence, promising to look out for her. This challenging period has expectedly strengthened the bond between our families, particularly with my former brother-in-law, as we unite in support of the children. My in-laws have embraced both grandchildren wholeheartedly, stepping in to provide care and support in the absence of my sister-in-law. With my sister-in-law out of the picture, our family has found peace and developed a strong, trusting relationship free from previous tensions.